Hi guys, welcome back to my channel, welcome back to another video. And in today's video I'm going to be updating my Project Level Up Project Level Up, which is a project created by Sophie Alexander. I'm gonna leave her channel down below. And it's pretty much like a combination of Pendos eyeshadows and No Pen Left Behind. It's a really fun project. You pick a palette or you randomly generate a palette, and you have to use it certain amount of times and hit a certain amount of pans depending on the level that you are currently at. So level 1, you have to use every single shade in that palette once and hit 1 pan. Level 2 is 2 pans and each shade you're using twice, and so on and so forth. It's a really fun project. I've been really enjoying it. This is my first year doing it, and I decided that for the first 5 levels I'm gonna pick my own palettes just to, like, ease into this project, get a hang on it, and then I'm gonna probably start randomly generating. And last month that we were updating this, I was kind of in between 2 levels because I've almost finished the level 3 with my Dragon Eye palette by What's Up Beauty, and I was starting a level 4 with my Mini Charms palette by Beauty Bay. Today I'm gonna kind of tell you how it went. So hopefully you'll enjoy that. In case you're new here, hi, my name's Sasha. I love indie makeup, I love colorful makeup, I love eyeshadows, and I really enjoy panning. I've been getting a lot into panning this year, and I've been just so excited, and I've had a lot of pans this year. I recently posted a video talking about all the pans that I've hit in this first half of the year, so check that out. But there was a lot of them, so I'm just really excited about this project. And now let's just jump right into the update. And I'm currently really trying to reach 1K here on YouTube. So if you could subscribe, it would really help this channel out. But now let's get into the update. So as I said, I was almost done with the Dragon Eye palette. I only needed to hit 2 pans. I think I know I had all my usage done with that palette, and I think I only needed 2 pans. So I'm gonna pop a b-roll of how the palette looks like because I don't have it here with me. I actually finished the level 3, which that was this palette, like, I don't know, 5 days, 6 days after updating this, after the last update. So yeah, it was just really easy. But as I said, I had my usage goals done with this palette, and I only needed to hit the additional pans, and my pans happened on the shade Magic, which last time that I updated this there was 3 uses on this shade, and now there's 5 uses. And on my 5th use on my 5th use in this project I was able to hit a pan. This shade had 6 uses before I rolled this palette into the project, so it took me 11 total uses since purchasing this palette to hit a pan. These pans are pretty shallow and they're very small, and obviously this is shimmer and I would use it all over the lid. So that was one of the pans. Then pan that I think was already there, but in case it wasn't, I'm gonna talk about it as well, is the shade Fierce, which is kind of like a yellow green blue multichrome. Fierce had 8 uses when I rolled this palette into the project, and it took me 4 uses to hit a pan. So currently this shade has been used 12 times in total ever since I purchased it, and as I said, 4 uses in this project to hit a pan. This one was very easy because it was beautiful all over the lid and also in the inner corner. And then the last shade that I've hit a pan on was the shade Myth. Myth had 5 uses last month when I was updating this. So there were 5 uses in the project, and we started at 7 uses when I rolled this palette in. Currently, this palette has 14 uses. Currently, this shade has 14 uses, which means I've used it 2 more times after the last update, and I was able to hit a pan. So After 7 uses in the project and 14 uses in total, there was a pan. And the shade Mint is beautiful. It's kind of pinky purpley, very, very pretty shade. It kind of has like a little bit more of a neutral base, so you can even use it with very neutrally looks. I had a lot of like blues in my Pendos eyeshadows, so I would just use it with that, and it was absolutely stunning. If I'm gonna remember, I will pop up couple photos of the looks that I created using these shades. And it was such a great palette. When I rolled this palette in on the 22nd of May, there were 19 uses of this palette, which means I did 19 looks with that palette. Currently, I was able to create 31 looks in total with this palette. So I've used it for 12 looks in the span of month. And we updated, my last update went up on 21st of June, or I filmed it on 21st, and on 26th, I think, or 7th, no, 27th, I hit the last pan in this palette. So yeah, it took me a week. And the Dragon Eye palette had 116.21 grams when I rolled it into the project, and now it has 116.0 grams. So I was able to use up 0.21 grams of this palette, and it makes me very happy to have some uses on it, because this palette, I've had it since December of 2023, and it's such a beautiful little palette. It's perfect for like just everyday looks for me. It's beautiful. It has amazing formulas. The shimmers are so sparkly, and I just wanted to get a little bit more use on it. It was kind of my little goal for this year. It wasn't like fully anything that I had set in stone, but I think I said in the beginning of the year that I would really love to use this palette a little bit more and give it the love that it deserves, because it's kind of small palette and it always gets lost in my collection. And last year I even had it with my face product, so it was completely lost and I wouldn't use it a lot. So I'm just glad that now it was used 31 times, and yeah, we have some progress on this palette. I was kind of wondering if I'm not gonna try to pan the shade Fly, which is the first Inner Corner shade, but then I realized that it would be very like cheap shot, so I decided to go for these a little bit more darker, more pigmented shades that I have to use all over the lid, and I'm so happy that I did, because they're so beautiful, and I just want to use them all over the lid and give them their time to shine. So that was for level 3. Last month we also rolled in the level 4 palette. So I had to use every single shade 4 times and hit 4 pans. I'm gonna show you how this palette looked like last month. I decided to go for the Mini Charms palette by Beauty Bay, which is my which is one of the palettes I want to pan this year. So I just decided to really focus this month on hitting all of the pans, or most of them, because this palette had 4 pans and I had to add another 4, meaning that I would have 8 pans out of the 9 that are in this, out of the 9 shades that are in this palette. And let me walk you through how much I've used each shade. First up, we have the shade Milky Way, which is this kind of white based goldy pinky green multi-chrome, like kind of iridescent shade. It's beautiful as an inner corner, under the brows, and face highlighter. And this one had 5 uses when I rolled this palette in last month, and I've been able to use it, and I was able to use it 12 times in the past month. This was one of the shades that I was kind of going for as trying to hit a pan on, because obviously it's a light shade, so it's a little bit easier, and as I said, it does multi-purpose. Next to it is the shade Supernova, which had 3 uses when I rolled it in, and now it has, and I've been able to use it 11 times, so it has 14 uses now. And the shade Milky Way, the previous one, has 17 uses currently. Then we have the shade Infinity, which is this beautiful peachy orangey pink, which is also beautiful as a face highlighter. And this one had 6 uses, and I was able to use it 6 additional times, so now it has 12 uses. Then we have the shade Aurora, which already had a pan when I rolled it in, and it had 17 uses. I was able to use it 8 times, so now it has 25 uses. It's one of the most, well, actually, yeah, it's one of the most used shade because it's a beautiful on the lid, in the inner corner, under the brow, as a face highlighter. It's just a perfect shade. Next up, we have Cosmic. That one also had a pan because it was one of the first pan dose eyeshadows for this year. And this one we started at 13 uses. I was able to use it 5 times, and now it has 18 uses. Next up, we have the shade Eclipse. Eclipse had a pan. It was in my latest pan dose eyeshadows before I rolled this palette in. And Eclipse had 7 uses, and now it has 11 uses. I was able to use it 4 times exactly because it's one of my least favorite shade of this palette. It's really dark, and I just don't get a lot of use out of it, so only 4 times. And usually just in the outer corner or on the lower lash line. Then on the last row, we have the shade Mystic. Mystic had 1 use, and I was able to use it 5 times, so we got to 6 uses. And then second to last is the shade Pluto. For me, Pluto is a shade that kind of exploded in the second week when I was owning this palette because I accidentally it accidentally fell on the ground, so I had to repress this one, and I repressed it and frankened it with a little bit of different eyeshadow, but there's just a little bit of that, so I'm just counting it as the original shade. And Pluto has 18 uses. I was able to use it 7 times, and now it has 25 uses. And last shade is the shade Ethereal. Ethereal had 1 use when I rolled it into the project. Now it has 5 uses. I was also able to use it 4 times. And now let me show you how the palette looks like. So this is the current state of this palette. I'm gonna also pop in a picture. I had to repress the shade Pluto back, so now there isn't a pan because from the previous picture you're gonna see that there was a huge pan, and it was really hard to apply this shade because I use it as a face highlighter, so I had to repress it again, and I've used it once after I repressed it, and I think it's gonna have pan within the next 3 uses. But as you can see, I was able to hit my goal on the eyeshadow pans, and I was also able to hit all the usage goal. I used it every single day. I literally have 30 uses on this palette, like 30 looks that I've used this palette for in the past 30 days. So I've used it every single day, and I actually used it twice one day because I was filming 2 looks, so I don't have it on right now. But I could have, like for this look, I definitely could have. And I had a pan on the shade Milky Way. It took me 9 uses in the project. It happened on the 14th use of this shade, and now it has 17 uses. I was able to expand the pan a little bit. Then the shade Supernova. This one took me all 11 uses in the project to hit a pan, so in total 14 uses to hit a pan since purchasing this palette. Then we have this orange shade. As I said, it's called Infinity, and this one took 12 uses in total to hit a pan on, so it happened on the 6th use in this project. Then all of these 3 had a pan. This one had a pan, now it's repressed. And the 4th pan that happened is this one, which is called Mystic. As I said, it had 1 use when I rolled it in. Now it has 6 uses, and it happened on the 6th use. This one is very soft shade. Like, for example, this one is a lot thicker shade, so you need a little bit more force. These 2, well, all these 3 shades also, like, maybe it's also the fact that I used them on my cheek, so I would use bigger brush so the pan wouldn't be as, like, you know, centered. But also I feel like you just need a lot more product, or like, you know, it's just there's a lot more product in there, like it's finer and you just don't use a lot of it. Whereas, for example, these and this one, they're very squishy, they're quite soft, so you just go through them really quickly. And this one I would use, I think, at least twice as an eyeliner, like all over the eyes. I would use darker matte base underneath and then just spray my brush and use it as an eyeliner, and then the other times I would use it on the lower lash line. So all of these uses were with a really small brush, and because it's so soft, like I would get the pan really quickly. And I'm just so happy to say that this pad now has 8 pans. Obviously, like, this is a repress, but it's, yeah, if I move the pan, I can even see the pan underneath the little coating of shimmer. So it's very close, and the only shade that we have left to hit the pan on is the shade Ethereal. But I'm very happy that I was able to kind of work on this palette for the last month, really get a good use. And yeah, since it's one of my Pendos palettes, it's just really nice. I'm just very happy about that. This palette had 64.21 grams, and now it has 64.05. So I have 0.16 grams out of this palette, which it feels strange that it's that little, but also this palette kind of fluctuates in weight. I remember after hitting the first pan, which was... Which one was the first pan? This one, I think. The palette weighed more than the 64.21 grams. So yeah, it just fluctuates. I don't know why. Maybe it's the fact that when I repressed this shade, maybe it got like, you know, more... I don't know. I don't know why it keeps changing weight on me, even though I use the same scale. But yeah, we were able to get rid of 0.16 gram, and each of these shades has 1 gram. So we got rid of a little bit of one shade. And this palette had 48 uses when I rolled it in, so 48 looks done with this palette, and now it has 78 uses. So 30 looks for 30 days. It was really hard to work on it, since it is a little bit bigger palette, and a couple of these shades are slightly darker, but also it's all shimmer palette. So if this was matte, it would take a lot longer. Obviously, matte just are a little bit more hard to use. But yeah, I'm just very excited for this. And we can get into the level 5, which will definitely take a lot longer. But I decided for the level 5 to roll in this Haggard Ecstasy of Saintess. I think that's how it's called. Mine has couple previous uses. I will send this in PR. Haggard reached out to me, I don't know when, like I think it was a year and a half ago, maybe 2 years ago, and they sent me 2 palettes. I have only this one. The other one I got, I gave to a friend, but this one is still here with me. One shade is almost at the pen, like you can see the pen very close because it's a very jelly shade. So I think since it's gonna be my level 5, meaning I have to use each shade 5 times, I wouldn't be surprised if I would use up this shade within the next 5 uses. But and I've used a lot of these for my Valentine's look, so I would mix that with my foundation and create a pink base color. So I've definitely used them a couple times, and I decided that since it's level 5, I have to use every single shade 5 times, and I have to hit a pan on every single of these shades. I should pick a palette that is slightly smaller. I would love to have a pan on all of these shades and maybe even use up a couple of these shades, or at least the central one, because I'm kind of playing with the idea of maybe putting this in my project pan next year, either in my Pendos eyeshadows as like one of the focus palettes, to try to use up the shades, or maybe one of my Pendos palettes, because it's definitely not going to be the only one. Yeah, so that was kind of my strategy with this, and now let me walk you through this palette. So currently I've used this palette for 6 looks. It has 6 uses, and it currently weighs 109.73 grams. And when it comes to these shades, so the first shade is called the Norns, this light pale pink. I've used it 5 times so far. Then we have Saintess, this pinky one, which I've used 4 times so far. Then the central shade called Heart of Saintess, I've used 6 times. It's my most used shade. And then both of these, this is the Kenosis and this is the Midnight Ode. I've used both 2 times. So This will definitely take me a little bit longer to hit my goals on, because even though it's small pad, I don't wear pinks all that often. But I currently have another kind of pinky purpley pad in my Project 20 uses. It's these mitten palettes. I feel like I could mix them together and like use them together a couple times. I'm gonna show you how they both look like. There are a couple like similar shades, but also this palette that I'm pointing, also the Haggard palette has a couple like really light shades that could work together with the Smitten palette, and obviously I can draw some of the shimmers from this palette as well. So I feel like they could be a really nice companion palettes, and that way I'm gonna get a couple uses for my Project 20 uses, and also maybe I would like to at least hit a pan on both of the shimmer shades by the next update, and maybe even this pink one, because I don't know how much product you're getting. Yeah, you're getting 5 grams for 5 shades, so all of these shades are 1 gram, and this pink one I've used a lot in my foundation to create a pink base. So I scraped a lot of it. There's quite a good dip. I feel like I could hit a pan. So my goal for next month will be to have 3 pans in this, 2 shimmers, 1 matte, and then we'll see about the rest of the palette. I also feel like, because kind of like my main Panda palette, like a full palette, because I have a couple deep bodied shades I also want to finish for this year, but my kind of main Panda palette that is kind of a full-on palette is this Solmona 2 palette by Odin's Eye, and this one has pretty much a full-on rainbow except the pinks. So I was kind of wondering, because I'm not going to be able to fully use up this palette within this year, maybe it's going to roll into next year, and that way if I would have both of these palettes next year, I would have a full rainbow, you know, because obviously this one doesn't have the pinks, but I can easily mix the pinks with the purples or with a couple of these like orangey shades for a look kind of similar to this, or even with the blues. So that's kind of my idea. Let me know if you would want me to do it like that next year. Obviously I'm gonna decide on my Pendos palettes and all of these things in like December, and I'm probably gonna film another kind of like help me pick my palettes towards the second half of November probably, and give you all of the options that I'm thinking about, because obviously I don't know where I'm gonna be with my current Pendos palette. We still have like 4 months before I'm gonna like really think about it properly. So who knows? But let me know if that idea kind of sounds like let me know if you think it's a good idea or not. That's essentially what I want to know. And yeah, we're gonna be working on this palette, and once I finish this palette, I'm gonna start rolling in palettes using the random the Pretty Random app, and see how that's gonna go, because obviously I pan a lot of eyeshadows. I focus on a lot of palettes to use up or have as much uses as I can in this year. I do my palette crush of the month, which means I have to use that palette in some capacity every single day, and I do Project 20 uses. So I do a lot of projects, and I also review new makeup. So I know that's going to be a little bit harder for me to do the project level up with the randomizer, but I want to try it for the remainder of the year, see how many levels I'm going to be able to go through, because I'm going to start at level 1, obviously, once this is finished. And yeah, we'll see how far we're gonna get. Maybe it's going to be really easy, maybe it's going to be really hard. And for next year, we'll see. Maybe I'm going to pick it myself again, or I'm going to go with the randomizer. Let me know. But I'm very happy that, I mean, we started this project I think it was end of March or beginning of April, and since then we've been able to get to level 5. So that's pretty like exciting. I'm very happy about this. I'm very excited about this. And let me know what you think about this palette. and the color story that I'm gonna be working with. But that's it for today. Let me know down below if you participate in the project level up and what level you're currently on, and what do you think about my progress. And with it, I'm just gonna leave you. So have a wonderful, wonderful day, and I'll be super happy to see you tomorrow with a makeup declutter video. Bye!